So, same as the other videos, going to start by splitting this paper up into two sections. First section is going to be the multiple choice. Second video is going to be the section B essay based questions. This is from summer 2012, so a couple of years ago now. Same as before, you spend 30 minutes on the multiple choice, you spend 45 minutes on the second bit. So let's get straight onto the question. Section A, here's our first multiple choice question, not a mathematical question as it has been for the last couple of years, but one of those is coming up at the end of the paper. Right. July 2010, the Office for National Statistics announced an unexpected jump in retail sales. For a retailer, the Office of National Statistics is best described as a source of. The answer is B, secondary research data. If I am a retailer, then if someone else does the research for me, so it's not the retailer that found out what retail sales were, it's the Office of National Statistics. If I'm a shop, if I'm a retailer, and someone else does the research for me, that is a source of secondary research. So you define what secondary research data is. Secondary research data is carried out by someone, by an individual or company from outside of the market or outside of the business. Because the data is carried out by the Office for National Statistics, for a retailer that would count as secondary research data. It would not be a primary research data because the retailer did not carry out the data research themselves. That's what they would need to do for it to qualify as primary data. Qualitative data, it would not be C because it doesn't give an opinion or a preference. It simply gives a figure of 0.6. It doesn't say why the sales have gone up. It doesn't say what people want to buy, so it can't be C. D, it's not biased because the Office for National Statistics, they are an independent government-run organisation, so they have got nothing to be biased about. So it can't be biased. It's not any of the other ones. The answer is B. So moving on to question 2. In June 2010, compared to the same month in 2009, car production increased in the UK by 28%. Which one of the following is the most likely explanation for this increase in production? So why has production of cars increased by so much? So what is going to cause demand or supply to go up? The answer would be A, market orientation. Market orientation is when a business focuses on providing products that the consumer wants. So if you're a market orientated business, you produce products based on what the consumer wants. It's not really about what you want to provide, it's about what your customers or potential customers say that they want to do. So if the business was market orientated, if the car production was market orientated, then they would be providing whatever the consumer wanted. This would lead to an increase in demand, so production would go up. All the other three would cause demand to go down or supply to go down. For example, you could say it's not D, ending of the UK government's car subsidy scheme. A subsidy scheme is meant to increase demand. A subsidy scheme means that if you sell your old car, you get given money by the government towards buying a new car. So if it's saying that they've ended that scheme, then that means you'd no longer get money towards a new car, so demand for cars would go down. All the other ones would cause demand or supply to go down, except for A, which would cause demand to go up. So the answer is A on that one. Right, 3. It's been reported that Britain has produced a boomerang generation of young adults between the age of 21 and 24 who, on leaving university, choose to return to their parental home. An increase in boomerang generation is most likely to reduce demand for. Answer is C, electricity. if you're living at home with your mum or dad, then you don't have your own place, so you're just all going to be using the same amount. You're going to be using electricity together. Whereas if everyone was living in their own houses, everyone would be using their own electricity. So people are not sharing electricity. People are sharing electricity instead of living by themselves, where they are each individually using their own levels of electricity. So the answer would be C. There's nothing really to define here because boomerang is already defined in the opening paragraph, so you can't define it again. The reason why it would not be any of the other ones, demand for the other three, computer games, holidays and clothing, would go up, because if you live at home, you're doing that to save money. So that means you've got more disposable income, which means that you'll be able to afford to buy more luxury goods such as computer games, holidays and clothing. So they'd have more money to spend on that, but they wouldn't need to spend money on electricity because it's likely that their parents would probably pay for it because they don't own their own house. So the answer is C. Question 4. Muslim businesswoman Samina Akhtar launched Britain's first range of halal makeup, which included lipstick and eyeliners made from plant extracts and minerals instead of alcohol and animal fats. Oops. The above is best described as, right. So this lady is producing a kind of quite unique form of makeup made from very specific products. Therefore, the answer is A. It's niche marketing. It appeals to a small part of a larger market. So define niche marketing is when a product is aimed at a small part of a larger market in which all the consumers share similar characteristics or wants. In this case, the makeup is targeted at those who want halal-based makeup instead of the more traditional methods used to make the makeup. There's not a lot of people, I would say, that are that bothered about that type of thing. So it is a niche market. Demand for it is not going to be very, very high compared to the mass market. You could say it's not B because repeat purchases means that consumers buy the same product again and again because they enjoy the product. Well, you can't comment on that because it doesn't tell us anything about demand. This is a product that's just been released. It's not D, a trade-off. Trade-off is when a business makes a decision, they go with one idea, which means they can't go with another one. Instead, there's been no trade-off here. She's specifically focusing on one type of makeup. So the answer is 4A. Question 5. Market research company Mintel reported in 2009 1 in 8 nightclubs in the UK have now closed. All of the following may have contributed to the above, except... So which of these would not have caused nightclubs to close? The answer is D, a fall in the level of unemployment. So nightclubs are closing. You've got to think that people go to nightclubs. It's a luxury item. Essentially, it's not a necessity. Therefore, nightclubs would close if demand was low. Why would demand be low? Because people don't have much disposable income. It's not something they have to do. It's something that they do because they've got a bit of spare money, kind of thing. So it's basically saying which of these would mean that people did have disposable income, because it's saying all of these would have contributed to them closing except. So the answer is D. If unemployment levels fell, that means in general consumers have more income. If consumers had more income, they were more likely to go to clubs. Therefore, clubs would not be closing. So that's why the answer is D. Nothing really to define in that one, apart from maybe you could define unemployment, the level of people who are willing and able to work and looking for jobs but currently do not have jobs. You could say the answer is not C. If rent on premises increased, that means that the costs of running nightclubs would increase, which would make it harder for businesses, nightclubs, to break even and make a profit because their costs are going up. Wouldn't be A. if there was a smoking ban in public places, that might put some people off from going to a club, so demand for clubs would fall. So the answer there was D. Question 6. In the BBC series, which gives advice to entrepreneurs, it argues that it's essential to have a business plan when engaged in a startup. A business plan will answer C. Support applications for startup capital. Business plan is a document that contains an outline of aims and objectives of the business. It also has financial information and information about any market research that's been done. A business plan can help a business to secure funding from a bank or venture capitalist. Therefore, the answer is C. The answer is not A, because it is impossible to ensure that a business will make a profit. Even with a plan, there may be uncertainty that occurs that stops the business from making a profit. Same thing with B. You cannot guarantee customers. You can plan, but remember there's part of section of Unit 1 about risk and uncertainty. There's always uncertainty. You never know if you're going to make a profit. You never can guarantee customers. So the answer is C. It's a good way to try and get capital, but it cannot guarantee profits. Question 7. In the second quarter of 2010, demand for the new iPad computer and the iPhone 4 helped profits soar. Revenues were 10.3 billion and profit increased to 2.1 billion. So it's basically saying that profits have gone up. Which of the following is necessarily correct? So we know if profits have gone up, one of two things has happened. Profits go up if either you have more sales or you have less costs, or maybe sometimes both. So what is necessarily true about this? The answer is D. Prices or sales volume may have increased. We don't know if sales actually did increase, because it could be more. You might be making more money than you were because your costs have gone down, but your sales have stayed the same. We don't know that, but it says price or sales may have increased. Well, that's true. It may have increased. We don't know. The other ones are all fact. Total cost must have risen by more than total revenue. Well, if total costs went up by more than revenue, that would mean that you're earning less profit than before. So it can't be A. Fixed costs did not change in the second quarter. We don't know that. We don't know if that's true or not. So we don't have that information. So it's not B. Margin of safety. Well, we don't know. Margin of safety is to do with break even, and that's nothing to do with this question. So the answer has to be D on that one. That's quite a tricky one, really. It's a bit of the way they've worded it with all the numbers as well in the question, trying to trip people up. Right, last question here is the calculation question here. So it gives you the exchange rate is £1 equals, £1 is 1.2 euros. And what you've got to do, you have to work out the total cost of a British tourist of buying €1.85 plus €7. So €8.85 it's saying. That's how much it cost in euros, and they want you to calculate that in terms of what would that be in terms of pounds. So what you do is you do €8.85 divided by 1.2. and that will get you the answer, which is £7.38. So you just basically show those workings out, and that's your answer. It's quite simple. There's no specific equations you need for this one, because it's just about converting currency into one form or the other. So that brings us to the end of section A. Click on the video below to look at section B.